Hello, everyone. I just had to give you a little peek at my Happy Halloween Disney World shirt. Sue and I are back and Jen and Lincoln, we are back from our trip to Florida. We're recovering as we are exhausted. But this is the teaser video for this coming Sunday, which is actually Halloween, October 31st. But my message, I tend to, for those of you who follow kind of how I do holiday sermons and stuff like that, I try to do the sermon the Sunday before the holiday that's coming up. But we have a little thing coming up, the Fall Family Weekend. So this Sunday is actually going to be my sermon kind of for Veterans Day, because the following weekend is Fall Family Weekend and we'll be doing the sermon up at camp. And that's that theme up at camp is based on the theme for camp. And then by the time we come back, Veterans Day will already be over. So this is the sermon for Veterans Day. It's titled Those Who Served, and it's Matthew chapter 20, verses 24 through 28. Matthew 20, verses 24 through 28. And it's actually talking about James and John's mother trying to get her sons in position of leadership in Jesus when he establishes his kingdom. But I really want to talk about that idea of leadership. And I want to challenge you to think about, obviously on Veterans Day, we'll be talking about military and military leaders and something from there. But obviously I've had a background of not only being in the military, but being an NCO, so being a military leader. I've been a leader in the secular world, in the business world, with many employees under me. Even as a pastor in a church, some consider that a position of leadership. And I want you to think throughout your lifetime, all the people you consider good leaders, and why do you consider them good leaders? What made them a good leader compared to some people you think were not so good leaders? That is the challenge. I'm going to be talking a lot about that, of what makes up a good leader, at least my perspective of who the leaders I respected in the military, who the leaders I respected in the business world, and some I didn't respect in the military. And in the military, they have the saying, you respect the rank, not the person. But sometimes it was really hard to follow a higher ranking person that you had no respect for, and that's always a challenge. And in the business world, if you don't respect the leader, your boss, you may just do the bare minimum so you don't get fired. You won't do that extra yard or try to go farther to get promoted, because that's a place you probably don't want to stay and work at. It's always great when you can find a place where you love your job and you love your boss, and you can go there and you just feel like, that you've accomplished something, and you leave there feeling satisfied. When you find those type of jobs, it may not be the best paying job you have, but when you find those type of jobs, your life is usually a little bit better. You don't come home from work dreading it, or you don't wake up dreading going to work. So there's a lot of challenges. So when we think about the title, Those Who Served, and you look at that passage, again, Matthew chapter 20, verses 24 to 28, you're going to see some of the challenges. But really take that thought. What characteristics make up the leaders that you respected, you followed, you loved to serve under, and how did that differ from those you didn't particularly like to follow or work for? I think you'll find out that the characteristics or the traits of those you like to work for are pretty common, even if it's military, secular, wherever it may be, because the traits that make up a good leader, those traits are pretty much standard. And you'll see in this passage, if you read Matthew 20, verses 24 to 28, you'll see Jesus kind of telling them what makes up a good leader. I always encourage you, despite reading the verses I'm preaching on, maybe read the whole chapter, get the whole background, get a little bit of more of the concept and the insight. That's how we better understand Scripture. That's how we continue to grow to become disciples and mentors and the things that we need to do. It takes time and effort on our part. It takes a little bit of reading. and focus. So I look forward. Again, this is my kind of a Veterans Day sermon that's going to happen on Halloween, October 31st. And I look forward to seeing everyone there. Take care.